So I've had a lot of questions about how I fly my FPV and how I've been doing the last few videos I've done. So I thought I'd give you some answers. I do fly a lot of RC planes here that I have up, but I'm not using a plane. I'm using what's called a quadcopter. This here is my quadcopter, or a multi-rotor or multi-copter. This quadcopter I have made piece by piece, one at a time. I started with a wooden frame. The H-frame by Flight Test is how I started. Broke a lot of wooden dowel rod booms that my motors and propellers were connected to. But now I have a plastic frame. This is a generic version of the DJI flame wheel. This I bought, oh boy, off of a website, I think Amazon, but anyway, it's the HJ version. However, I have replaced the arms with DJI arms. I don't know if you can see that there. These, anyway, are very sturdy. Even the generics worked pretty well. After a few crashes, though, I have replaced them. So, the basic setup, let's see. I start here. This is how I control my quadcopter. This is a Spectrum DX6i. It's the older version, DSM2, not the X. But it works pretty well. 6 channels. This transmits. This is how I control this thing. It transmits to this orange piece. This is the receiver for that. It is a HK Hobby King orange receiver, DSM2. That then plugs into the KK2 board. The KK2 board with LCD screen, that's the green thing you see there. That is the brains of the quadcopter. That talks to each one of the ESCs and motors and kind of keeps it level, helps me control. Has an auto level function that I typically have on while flying FPV. Have been trying to learn with it off lately, but for the most part, the auto level keeps the video nice and smooth. The videos you have seen of me flying around are been currently being recorded by this Mobius little teeny camera, but it is a 1080p camera. I have this connected to a flight board, or a vibration dampening board that I developed. Basically took a piece of wood, added some metal to it, a little metal wire that I bent on both the front and the back, and those connect to rubber bands. That keeps the vibration as this thing shakes. It keeps the vibration in the video steady. When the video shakes too much, you get what's called jello. This little board with the vibrationing damper, using some earplugs and some Velcro here underneath. Then I put the camera on, and that takes away pretty much all that jello. So it's pretty smooth video. Added a little weight by putting the battery on that as well. Going back to the flight capabilities, the board then itself leads off to, they plug in over to my ESCs. The ESCs that I am using, electronic speed controls, all are the multi-star Turnigy. These are 30 amps, SBEC 4 amp. Anyway, these take a 2 to 4 cells from Turnigy. Bought these at Hobby King Multi-Star. I highly recommend them. Those then connect to my motors. My motors I'm using are also Turnigy brand. They are the D2836/9, 950 kilovolt. 950 revolutions per minute is basically what that stands for. Connected to some propellers. I believe these are 9.5s, maybe 9.6s. These are actually electric only master air screws is the brand. Got these from a friend. I've also taken to the idea of zip tying my motors onto my mounts, or my mounts onto here with zip ties. That way, in a bad wreck, the motors will break off on the zip ties instead of the arm. That should save me some motor cost on a hard wreck. Anyway, that's basically the setup. I'm right now flying with a 3-cell battery. This is a 2200 milliamp 11.1 volt. I also have been using some 4 cells as well. But the video you've been seeing, I'm recording on the Mobius, already talked about that, but that leads me to this camera. This is where I get my live video. I'm actually seeing the flight as I'm flying through this camera right here. This camera is connected to a transmitter in the back. This is the transmitter down here connected to my board to take out some vibrations. That's powered by its own little 11.1 volt battery. Plug that into here. This antenna then transmits to this antenna. This antenna happens to be goes down into my receiver. It's a 5 gig receiver. These are 5.8 gigahertz. Let's see, 200 milliwatts is the power I'm running. Anyway, that transmits from there to there, comes down, goes into the receiver. The receiver transmits into this little gray box here that I have zip tied onto these ski goggles, and that transmits into here. These are little video glasses I can actually see. I originally bought a pair of video glasses and took them apart and put them inside of these ski goggles to block out more of the sunlight. So I actually see live video that shoots from this camera here on the very front of it over to these goggles. So that's what makes me feel like I'm flying. I can see video from the cockpit of this multi-rotor. Also, because of the battery tray that I made in vibration tray, I had to extend my legs. I did that very simply. My landing gear I just used some old dowel rods from the booms I had broken when I had my H-copter, and cut those, painted them black, and zip tied them onto the bottom, and now I have landing gear as well, so it sits a little higher than normal. That's basically this setup, and that's how this thing flies. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.